There is a new program out on Netflix. It's called 13 Reasons Why. And it's getting a lot of publicity and a lot of people talking. It's a fictional tale of a teen suicide. But before killing herself, she records a series of audio tapes to talk about the 13 reasons why she took her own life. People are concerned that this is romanticizing, glorifying suicide. Here's the trailer. And then we have a fascinating guest to help take this on.
Hannah, I'm not going. Not now. Not ever.
Why didn't you say this to me when I was alive? My husband and I, we never got a note.
Hey, it's Hannah. Hannah Baker. Settle in, because I'm about to tell you the story of my life. More specifically, why my life ended.
Wow. So this may be a good starting point for taking on the conversation of teen suicide so far up, so much so since 2012. But in some ways, is this romanticizing? Well, we're going to take it on with someone who knows a lot more than me, Dr. Taaka Cash. She's an expert in psychiatric mental health, specializes in child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry. And this doctor has extensive experience dealing with suicidal adolescents and their parents. Okay, who better to have on the show today? Dr. Cash, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is a disturbing trend in America. We're not hearing a lot about the fact that suicide is up so greatly, particularly among adolescent girls.
Correct. And it's not just happening amongst adolescent girls. We're seeing it a lot in adolescent males as recent as last week with the hanging of an 11-year-old boy. Yeah. And so what we're starting to see is that a lot of the incidences of suicide are garnering a lot of attention now, and a lot of folks are starting to recognize that suicide and mental illness is real.
Mental illness is a hard thing for people to understand as well. We have a lot of compassion if if you're blind, if you have or wheelchair bound. We make accommodations in our society. We have understanding. But if you have a mental illness, we feel like, well, just suck it up, buttercup. There's just something wrong with you. I can't deal with you. I hear a lot of that, and it's as though our mind is still in some kind of archaic mindset, and it's not doing folks who are dealing with mental health issues any good.
Correct. And so a lot of the times what I tell parents and family and caregivers when they come in, that it would be easier for you to treat your child, adolescent, and or adult if they had a physical limitation. But I call it mental health limitations. And when they see it as a mental health limitation, then they get it. It's like it's
I'm sorry, I think we're losing our guest. We'll see if we can get her back on. If you're just joining us, Dr. Taaka Cash is with us. She's an expert in psychiatric mental health. Dr. Cash, are you with us again?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Now, you were saying that looking at this and talking to parents and caregivers, saying, look, this is a mental health it's kind of not more than the deficiency. What was the word that limitation? You used the word limitation.
Yes. We utilize the word limitation, and so when we utilize the word limitations, parents are able to handle the news of their child, adolescent, and or adult sister or brother as if it is not. It's like they can see it a little bit better. Education is the most important thing that I have to do with my patients when they're coming in, because they're just like, I can't see it, therefore I don't understand it. And I tell them, hey, if this person had a physical limitation like being in a wheelchair, or if they had some other physical, if an arm was missing or something like that, then yes, we would make modifications. We would make accommodations. And why can't we do that for mental health limitations as well?
Indeed. We have such a sad, just growing statistic. Suicide, kind of a byproduct of a lot of things that people are suffering from, and more often than not, as I understand it, and you can correct me, you being the doctor, Dr. Cash, from things like depression.
Correct. And so if you see anything that's associated with sadness, hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness, feelings of inadequacy, it differs per patient, per person, per generation, per age group. And so you have to see what your kid looks like, what your adult mother or son looks like. You have to see what they look like and what their presentation is like, because depression can present differently in each and every individual.
We're going to talk about some things that we can do to be a help to those who are in our lives and that we come in contact with. But I wanted to get to this television series from Netflix, 13 Reasons Why. When you read the headlines and you read the explanation, it seems really disturbing. It's a program about a girl who takes her own life. That doesn't really seem like entertainment to me. And after her life, she had recorded a series of audio tapes designed to reveal these 13 reasons why she took her own life. And some are saying that it's romanticizing of teen suicide, and others are saying, hey, no, it's opening up a conversation. I want to get your expert opinion. If you're just joining us, Dr. Taaka Cash is with us. She actually is specializes. She's an expert in adolescent and adult psychiatry, and she deals with suicidal adolescents and their parents. So it's really, really the best person to have on the show right now. What are your thoughts on this show, 13 Reasons Why?
My thoughts are to making a connection between the fact that this show is romanticizing suicide is very dangerous. It suggests that creativity and mental illness are somehow like they're correlated, and there is no correlation between the two. When I watched this series, I was completely just in awe. I thought that they were spot on when it came to bullying, when it came to suicidal ideations, when it came to suicide attempts, when it came to actual attempts, when it came to families and how families of those who are affected and those who are affected by suicide, how they handle situations. It talked about the school. It talked about the school systems, the teachers, the counselors, how we all play a role in educating the adolescents, and how you can have one teen or many teens that are in your school and miss the signs of depression, miss the signs of anxiety, miss the signs of suicide. And there was one parent that was in the series that said, you know, my daughter, she was right here. How can I miss this? How could I have missed this? And too often I hear parents coming into my office and they're actually articulating those same words. Dr. Cash, I was right there. That child was right under my own roof. How could I miss this? Just like I had a kid who was 11 years old, came to his parents a few weeks ago, and he said, you know, Dad, his dad was putting him to sleep, and he said, you know, I've been thinking about this a really, really long time. And I really want to hang myself. And he just said it just like that. And so his dad was completely just, whoa, where did you hear this from? And we have to recognize that our kids, they're hearing this 80% of the time from their peers at school. And so they're spending a lot of their time from their peers at school. And so what this show did is it highlighted that in the morning when a child gets up, from the time that they're getting up to the time that they're at school to the time that they get back home, that the parents, that we're spending a small amount of time with them, and their peers have their greatest influence.
So what we're seeing from shows like this, 13 Reasons Why, is that is an opportunity, because we cannot pretend like this isn't happening. It's at epidemic levels,
Correct.
Suicide among adolescents. We can't just not talk about it and expect it to go away, which we like to. If we just ignore it, it'll go away. It will not. And it's time that we bring it to the forefront. That's why we're taking it on today, live from Seattle. Now, Dr. Cash, we only have a minute and a half or so together to finish our conversation, and there's so much I want to get to, but particularly for folks who are listening, from your expertise, what can we do when we know that we're dealing with someone that may be suffering from depression or anxiety or has some of these changed behaviors? What are some things that we really can do? Give us some tools to change and save a life today.
Some practical applications can be just like the takeaway from this movie, 13 Reasons Why. Be proactive and not reactive. A lot of people only reacted after this person committed suicide. Then they put up posters. Then they were advocates. This story is saying be an advocate on today. Be an advocate before I am buried 6 feet deep. Be an advocate, actually be present, listen, care, know that I am there. So that's what these kids and these adolescents and also these adults are crying out for. Hey, I just want to know that you're here, that you're listening, that you care, and that you're present for me.
Wow. And that can really make a difference. I mean, that seems really simple. Yeah. We think that, okay, I'm not an expert. I'm not Dr. Cash. I don't have a degree. But you're saying that I can make a difference in people's lives just by being there, that human touch, the human ear, right, and caring, a prayer, whatever it may be, knowing someone's there can make a difference.
That's exactly right. And even the young lady that committed suicide, that was her number one thing, that no one was listening to her, that she felt like no one was present, that no one was here, that even she even mentioned one great quote from that movie. It's really interesting how I see my parents, but they don't see me, but I see them seeing me. Like, it was so interesting and profound. And so what she was saying is, I am here, but I'm non-existent.
Wow.
I'm here, but nobody's listening.
Dr. Cash, you're very empowering. You've taken a very complex issue, and you really have given us hope, because what you're giving us today is saying that every person that's listening to your voice right now, and as you're listening today, you realize, wow, that's something I can do. I can listen. I can be there. I can give a phone call. I can check on people. I can invite someone to coffee. I can stop being so busy and love my neighbor, because that's really the golden rule. I can do that. It doesn't take a psychology degree. It just takes me walking in love. You are so fun to talk to. See, that's a lot of hope in a really depressing, kind of sad statistic that we're dealing with in America. But there is really hope, and it starts with each one of us. Dr. Taaka Cash. Now, we can find you at privyoasis.com. She's an expert in psychiatric mental health and a great guest to have on. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.